Welcome into Sports Den. Don't wait for anything else. There's nobody else here. We're not flashing to Rick Palermo in the blue room or anybody else at home. It's just me, JW Cox, with you here for Sports Den this week. But we got plenty of content to get to, so let's get to it. Our cameras active again, as they always are. We'll tell you how to view everything we cover later on, and plus get a look at what we're covering this week. But let's start with going back to boys hockey last week, and another battle between our teams with Spring Lake Park and Blaine. Blaine Bengals coming into this one, and, well, they didn't wait too long to assert their dominance at the rink that the two teams share there at Fogarty. 5 goals in the first period for the squad in the Columbia blue. And right up front, a quick trigger and a score for Landon Steffen to get the scoring started. That was just about 30 seconds in. Ty Bunis takes the long way around the world, but ends up with the backhand for the 2-0 lead for the Bengals en route to those 5 goals. We slide deeper into the game. Spring Lake Park trying to get back even after they'd given up a couple. It was 3-0, then Jacob Fritz backs his way in there and knocks home a goal to make it 3-1. Bengals still able to answer, but we're into the second as another goal pops home for Blaine, and the Bengals got one there from Alex Hauk, the only goal of the second period. But this one already down the road a bit. John Ross would put one in the third for the Panthers. Bengals, though, would score the final 3 goals of the period, including a 10th from Ben Walrath at even strength to get the victory. Cougars were also in action last week, taking on the Osseo Orioles in some Northwest Suburban Conference play. Well, the Cougars waited a little longer to get their scoring going, but they still ended up scoring. It was 1-0 out of the first, and the one came right there on a Jordan Newpower goal. Newpower, better than the old Power. Osseo comes back, and they were able to get a goal after the Cougars had gone up 3-0. Daniel Ellingson beating the tender there, but the Cougars coming right back to it, able to score in the third period and score often. Newpower got it started with a goal. They would score 7 in the period, and the Cougars able to roll another double-figure performance for one of our teams on the boys hockey side. Bang, almost like an open net there in the third as it's banged home, and the Cougars continue to roll, headed towards those 10 goals. Another break, another weave, and another Newpower goal. Easy as you please, right on an excellent feed from A.J. Carls. He does that so well. Take a look at the boys hockey standings. As you saw it, both of our teams putting up double-figure goals. Well, they're right there in lockstep in the Northwest Suburban Conference standings. Centennial at 7-2-1, Bengals at 7-4, and Oka Spring Lake Park is 2-9, with everybody trying to run down Maple Grove and Andover. Both teams, by the way, in the Class 2A top 10 there. Cougars and Bengals trying to run them down. Here's the schedule that they have coming up. Champlain Park this week for the Bengals. First up, they start March with the rivalry against Centennial. 2 games before we put February to bed for the Cougars. They'll take on Maple Grove and Champlain Park, and then Spring Lake Park, they'll take on Osseo and Coon Rapids, hoping to pile a couple of wins together on the boys hockey side. Girls hockey still in action as well, and we got one of those for you this week too, as it was Champlain Park Coon Rapids taking on Centennial. The girls' ice. We take you into that one. We'll get some standings and, well, have the update on where these teams are standing. But first, we'll get this head-to-head matchup as Centennial, well, they're in white, taking on Champlain Park Coon Rapids, and early in a scoreless game. Scoreless, no more. Up ahead it goes to Megan Gaudreau, and Gaudreau able to put the puck in the back of the net, and the Cougars go up 1-0. Bouncing puck just enough on its way in the first period, and out of the first, 2-0 the lead. Abby Elliott also scoring the goal in the first period. Back on defense, trying to keep things closed down against Champlain Park Coon Rapids with a 5-0 lead at the time. Molly Turbaiza was able to score to get one on the board. As the Cougars would again then go and answer. Summer Francis doing what she does best, making it 3-1. more speed, more Gaudreau, able to knock it home to the top shelf as the goal pops home. Ella O'Hearn, got that one. Look at that nifty pass to herself, then sprinting ahead from the crease. And so nice, we'll see it thrice as there goes O'Hearn to that top shelf. And the Cougars, again, just continue to roll in that second period. Another goal for Gaudreau. That was the second we were looking for Megan Gaudreau. Turnover, popped up ahead. Still slapped down but not cleared out. And right there to pop it home, who else but Summer Francis. Finds her way down the ice. Nifty. Good saves in tights, as we've seen a lot of that all season long from Caitlin Gress. Standing on her head, and a 6-1 final. The Cougars beat Champlain Park, Coon Rapids. Standings in girls hockey. Centennial, best record of our squads. They're just off of Andover's pace at 10-0. Cougars are 9-2-0. Blaine is 7-4-0. And then Anoka Spring Lake Park at 2-7-1. As we take a look at the schedules for girls hockey, Blaine has Anoka Spring Lake Park coming up, then Armstrong Cooper. Centennial, Anoka Spring Lake Park as well, and Armstrong Cooper. We'll get to those two again in just a moment, by the way. You look at Spring Lake Park, they have both Blaine and Centennial coming up as well. You see on the schedule for both Blaine and Centennial, they've got Andover, the unbeaten #1 team in girls hockey in the state, averaging about 10 goals per game. They play Blaine and Centennial in the span of 6 days, with one game in between, but in the span of 6 days, they have to play Blaine and Centennial. Bold prediction time right away. I think one of our teams will hand the Andover Huskies their first loss of the season. Maybe, maybe not. You see, they've played them already once before, but I think it might happen. The combination of having to play both of those teams back-to-back like that could just be the recipe for success for one of our two teams. You heard it here first. Andover will go down to Blaine or Centennial girls hockey in that stretch. We'll see. I'll be right back here to see if it comes true. I'll be right back here after a break, too, to talk about things that actually did happen that I didn't try to predict. More Sports Den after this. Welcome back in on North Metro TV, another episode of Sports Den. We've got our hockey highlights behind us now, which means time for basketball. We'll start with boys basketball from last week. Bengals at home at the Fieldhouse, welcoming the Andover Huskies in some boys hoops, and we were there. The Huskies, well, they play some pretty good defense. The Bengals, when they can score, they've had some success. They're a team built on shooting from the outside. It was the Huskies who got the outside shot going early. Sam Masungu's their top scorer. Does it in a lot of ways. Can drop down the three like he did right there. The Bengals moving without the basketball. Dylan Myers drops in the two. The other leading scorer right here for the Andover Huskies. Little shake, little bake, little drive to the rim, and Ben Kopetsky knocks home the bucket. They took control of this one early. More Masungu right to the rack. So now we've seen twice, two different ways he can score. Nearly had a steal there as well. Bengals trying to come back down. A.J. Call for three, but unfortunately, not many of those for him. They need him to find his shot early. That was a two with a foot on the line, and they called it a triple. The three drops down for the Bengals, and Ethan Pettis with 6 points in this one. Turned it over here. Masungu still in the first half. Drops it home. Andover, well, they had a double-figure lead at one point in the first half. The Bengals would find a way to start hitting some shots. Wasn't right there as it's dropped in by Calvin Foy, who ended up with a big game. Bengals would attack Max Stepanek to the bucket. He'd finish once and twice. Max Stepanek got the offense going, and again from the left corner, Stepanek with the touch and the harm, and it would be a 2-point game at the half. Andover continued to fight offensively. Look at this for Foy. That turned into a 3-point play, leaning himself in. You can just give a guy credit for a good shot. You don't have to add the foul onto it. Anyway, coming back in the second half, more for the Huskies as they work it inside two, and then Masungu, a capper with a jam, got up ahead and scored it. Bengals made it close in the second half early. Andover pulled away late, 63-49. 44. Just not enough from the outside. Good game for Max Stepanek attacking. There were some good adjustments for the Bengals in that game, deciding that they needed to score a little bit different, but just too much to handle from a pressure defense. Masungu with 17, Foy with 16, Kopetsky with 11. Sam Angel, the big man inside, came off the bench, and I believe it was 8 of those 10 in the second half for Angel. 63-44. Huskies beat the Bengals. They stay in second place in the Northwest Suburban Conference North. Blaine sits at 500, just above Maple Grove. Everybody chasing Champlin Park. Cougars are 1-5. Spring Lake Park, right in the thick of things in the Northwest Suburban Conference West, sitting at 3-4. Coming up for our teams this week and beyond, Blaine travels to Osseo, then hosts top-running Champlin Park. Centennial will be at Maple Grove, and then they'll get Anoka and Osseo back-to-back for home games. 2 straight at home for the Panthers, Andover and Elk River, coming up this final week of February. Final week of February, you're always thinking basketball because March Madness not very far away. And we've got some madness from both of our boys and girls squads, all 3 of our boys and girls squads. So let's check in on the ladies as well, as Totino Grace visited Spring Lake Park. Great individual season storylines for the Panthers so far this season. 1,000-point scorers, coaches with big wins, but now can they put it together and find a way to make a run here late in the year? Taking on Totino Grace in this one, first half, Eagles getting out to the early lead. Triple drops down, and it's helped to be pushed out by Ann Caspers. Coming right back, that's Maddie Ngene. That's the 1,000-point score I was talking about. Pulls the Panthers back within 1 possession. The turnover. The ball pushed back the other way for Totino Grace, and they would finish, find their way to the lead, courtesy of the steal and finish from Michaela Thomas. 3-ball, left side. Oh, that'll go down for the Panthers. Help keep them closer with Michaela Thomas right there for the Panthers. Another 3 as we go into the second half, and a player that could be hugely key to any run they're going to make, Macy Smith. More transition for Totino Grace. They finish. Get the game tied back up. Very early going here in the second half. More attack, more offensive glass, and the left-hand finish for Maddie Ngene. She does all the little things too. Yeah, she's a 1,000-point scorer, but she does a lot of rebounding, does a lot of defending. That one caught a lot of the glass and banks in for Grace Skicknick. Poked away. 3-point lead already for Totino Grace, and in transition, Leah Dinegrud knocks it home, and that type of defense leads Totino Grace to the 47-42 victory over the Panthers. Hannah Herzig led the way with 13. Maddie Ngene had 17 on the other side. Macy Smith with 15. You can see right there, that tandem, they're going to cause people problems, but you can hear their coaches right now. Got to clean up some of those turnovers in that game, especially one decided by just 2 possessions. 47-42, the final between the Panthers and the Eagles. Girls basketball standings in the Northwest Suburban Conference. Oh, ho hum, there's Centennial right on top, 6-0, 10-1 overall. Blaine at 3-5, trying to put a run together. And Spring Lake Park, despite the loss, still sitting right there, just 1 game in the win column behind the leaders, Elk River and Totino Grace. Coming up this week, Blaine has Osseo, and then they have a gauntlet of a road trip at Champlin Park, at Park Center, and at Rogers the next 3 games following that. Maple Grove next for Centennial. They'll be tested there at home, and then 2 straight on the road, Anoka and Osseo. And Spring Lake Park, they'll also take their show on the road at Andover and at Elk River. So we've gone indoors, we've settled those. Now let's go into the pool, take a look at Coon Rapids and Centennial. Coon Rapids gets the better of the Cougars in the pool. 97-83 was the final in what would be a very, very tight meet right there. Second place finish, medley relay. Looking at some firsts for Hunter Belting. No real surprise there in the 50 free with a good time, 22-49. First place finishes for Gillen, Shire, and then the Cougar 400 free relay team. With those final couple events, Hunter Belting as well took second in the 100 free. We'll have more swim and dive coming up this week as well. Take a look at the schedules. Centennial, they have Anoka at home. That's the one I was looking for. Tomorrow, Anoka at home. Spring Lake Park visits Blaine, and there you go, Champlin Park, Park Center to wrap up the Spring Lake Park slate later this year. Wrestling, still rolling at it. A couple of tries coming up. Blaine and Centennial will square off. Their next meeting coming up later this week as Irondale SOP is at Hastings for a try as well. Centennial, the most action left, but everybody at least 3 more wrestling events to come this winter. We've got a lot more to come this winter, but this just coming up over the next 5 to 6 days or so. Basketball tomorrow, swim and dive tomorrow. Both of those live. Be just before 6 o'clock for swim and dive, and then just before 7 for Andover at Spring Lake Park on the boys' side. Hockey on Wednesday. Thursday, more swim and dive with Centennial hosting Elk River, and then boys hockey, Blaine and Centennial late in the week with more boys swim and dive. That's actually next week, excuse me. And then more boys swim and dive coming up late next week as well. NorthMetroTV.com for all the details on how to watch all of those games. It might be tricky. Some games streamed, some games on the channel, but North Metro TV tells you exactly where you need to go to get all of that. Another place, social media. At NMTV, sports at North Metro TV across YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You might be watching us on YouTube right now. I hope you are. Branch out a little bit. Could be watching it live on the channel. Wherever it is, come on back and do the same thing next week. And we'll have more sports then. Maybe there'll be somebody else. Maybe not. Just me. See if predictions come true. Let's have fun. Go support your teams. That's the Bengals. That's the Panthers. That's the Cougars. Good night, everybody.